as elected officials, and I think for all orders of government, the most important job that we all have is to keep our communities and our citizens safe. And the violence, harassment, and intimidation that we have seen in Nova Scotia over the past few weeks are completely unacceptable. They cannot continue, and they must stop now. And because these criminal actions and violence have escalated, the response from the police in Nova Scotia has by necessity also escalated. And that means that more police resources are being deployed, both within Nova Scotia and from outside the province, to the theatre. Minister Furey, as the Provincial Justice Minister, and I spoke last week, and as a result of that conversation, he forwarded a request for additional resources for the Nova Scotia RCMP. That request was immediately approved, and that means that the Nova Scotia RCMP are now able to draw on RCMP resources from neighboring provinces within the Atlantic bubble. And as of today, there are additional officers on the ground in Nova Scotia. The RCMP reports that they have deployed ground resources, resources on the water, liaison teams, and investigative resources required to maintain the peace and uphold the law at that location. Local detachment members in Southwest Nova are on the ground. People who live in the community are familiar with the community. A number of Indigenous officers who also are from the community and aware of the long history of this conflict are being supplemented by additional resources from Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and New Brunswick. These officers are conducting supplemental uniform patrols to high-risk areas, maintaining a strong presence to maintain the peace. The officers have access to an RCMP vessel, and they're able to patrol on the water in areas where they are required. Additional water resources from across the division are on standby if required to be deployed, and I understand as well that the Canadian Coast Guard is maintaining a vessel in the St. Mary's Bay area. We have resources on scene to maintain the peace. Liaison teams from across Nova Scotia are working on the ground, and they are regularly engaged with both Indigenous and commercial fishers. Many of these team members are in fact Indigenous, as I've said. They are from the community, and they know the people involved. And they have been on scene from the outset in an effort to maintain a dialogue and a peaceful situation there. The RCMP has a significant presence in the Metawan area. They have deployed from Prince Edward Island officers as well, who are specialized in training of de-escalation and crowd control. And we know that these actions have become necessary to keep the Mi'kmaq people and all the people of Nova Scotia safe. The additional officers will maintain law and order. And they will make up special units to help support ongoing criminal investigations, and I'll provide you with a bit of an update of that shortly. But most importantly, we are prepared to hold to account any individual who has perpetuated the acts of violence and destruction that we have seen. Crimes will be investigated, and individuals will be held to account for their actions. I've spoken to this morning and over the weekend to the RCMP Commissioner, and she has assured me that she currently has the resources necessary to manage the situation on the ground and to uphold the law. I want all Canadians to know that we are taking these threats and the violence that has taken place very seriously. I know from experience that when such violence takes place, it can tear communities apart. And this is the worst possible outcome of any conflict. The suspicion, fear, and conflict can last within these communities for generations. And we do not want to see this happen in Nova Scotia or in any place in Canada. The reckless violence and the racist threats that we have seen do nothing to bring us closer to a resolution. They only serve to divide us, to put our friends and our families and our communities in danger. And that is why the violence must come to an end now. It is the only way to give us all an opportunity to find a peaceful, lasting solution. In my conversations with the RCMP Commissioner, I have received assurances, and I am confident with the additional resources that have been deployed, we have the necessary means to enforce our laws, to keep the peace, and to protect public safety. I'd also like to provide you briefly with an update on some of the investigations that have been taking place. During last week, an assault occurred on Chief Michael Sack. An accused in that case has been arrested and is now before the courts. He has been released from custody with conditions to have no further contact with Chief Sack or the situation at that location. In addition, on October 13th, an arson occurred. A van was set afire. An individual responsible for that event at the New Edinburgh fish plant has been identified. The accused has now been arrested and is before the courts on that charge. In addition, the arson that took place in Atlantic Fisheries on the night of October 16th, this investigation is ongoing. A person of interest in this case went through surgery and will have a lengthy stay in hospital due to the level of injuries. The investigators are continuing their investigation to identify any possible second or other suspects in this matter. And in addition, there was a mischief that occurred on October 13 at Atlantic Fisheries. We have obtained video of that, and we are now, the RCMP are working to identify those responsible. And in that regard, I want to ask for anyone who has video of these events, which could be used as evidence or to advance an investigation by the police, to please provide it to the RCMP. We have the resources in the community to conduct these investigations. Individuals who engage in criminal behavior of violence, intimidation, the destruction of property, or any other act which escalates this conflict will be held to account. And we ask for the public's assistance in these investigations, and we also ask for calm while the important discussions that are necessary and will bring this matter to an appropriate resolution take place. Thank you.